Hi, it's Meagan. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you what our morning homeschool looks like. So here we are just getting started with our calendar time. We start by showing the date, singing our days of the week song and our months of the week song, and then we talk about the weather, and we focus on learning and reviewing a couple of letters that are from Isla's preschool curriculum, which is Playing Preschool by Busy Toddler. So this unit, we're working on learning the letter R, and then we're also reviewing the letter A from our previous unit. So after we do those reviews, we say the poem that goes along with our Isla's preschool unit, and there's always a song that goes along with the unit as well. So this unit, we're learning about colors, so that's what our poem and our song was about. After we do our calendar time, we head over to the couch where we do our kind of like morning read aloud time and kind of like our morning basket type of thing. So we start out by reading a few poems. Right now we're reading from Where the Sidewalk Ends. Previously we read from The Big Book of Poetry by Bill Martin Jr. And then after that we read a chapter book that's more geared towards Isla. We've been reading the Mercy Watson series. She really, really likes it. She's only 2, but she's able to follow the stories. And it's a really good intro to chapter books for kids because the chapters are super short and it helps them learn that a whole story can be told over multiple chapters, and a whole story can be told with stopping in the middle, and you can pick back up where you've read. The pictures are beautiful, very brightly colored, very interesting and engaging. So I really like those as kind of a first chapter book, like introductory chapter books. And then once your kids can read more independently, they also are really good early readers as well. After we read like our Isla focused, our preschool focused chapter book, read aloud, we go over to a science read aloud kind of. We've been reading the different kind of anatomy books. So right now we're working on Nature Anatomy by Julia Rosenthal, and we really, really like them. They're just really, really pretty pictures and text that gives you information about different things in nature. She has a bunch of books, and I can link some of those in the show notes for you. And so we just read a couple pages of this every day. Isla usually is not very interested in this part of our homeschool, which is totally fine. You'll see right now she's kind of just looking at a book, but eventually she'll come back and look at a few pictures, and then she'll get down and go do something else while we're finishing reading this. While we're reading this, I often talk to Lucy about why things are named different ways, or we learn different facts, and we try to relate those to other things that we've known and seen. So we're just kind of previewing and looking ahead to some of the other animals and things that we have going on in that book. So this is kind of the end of our family time. And now I am going to be starting on working on reading Isla's books for her curriculum while Lucy does her independent reading. Lucy's curriculum suggests that she reads for 10 minutes independently, and that's usually enough time for me to read through Isla's picture books and get through part of Isla's learning activities that she needs to do with me. So like I said, Isla's unit that we're working on this week, it has to do with colors, and today's focus was on blue and purple. And so we read about 4 books. I think we read Harold and the Purple Crayon, 2 Purpley Rainbow Fish, and Blueberries for Sale. You can see Lucy has finished her independent reading at this time, and so she's come over to kind of finish listening to the story with me and Isla. And usually the curriculum from the Playing Preschool curriculum usually just suggests 1 book per day. Sometimes you review the same book, but with colors, there's so many good books out there that I want to read with her that usually we're reading more than 1 book, usually at least 2 up to like 4. And then after this, Lucy is starting on her independent scripture study. And I am focusing on asking Isla a few questions, like what are some things that she knows are blue and what are some things that she knows are purple. And then after that, I do a learning activity with Isla while Lucy is focusing on her independent scripture study. She's a little bit young to be fully like reading and understanding scripture on her own. We do family scripture study in the evenings together, but we want Lucy to get into the practice and the habit of having her own individual time in the scriptures. So she's doing that while Isla and I are focusing on her learning activity. Today we were working on sorting things. So we gathered some toys that were blue and purple, and we sorted them into different ways, as well as focused on counting and making groups of 3. So we finished that activity and are cleaning up those toys. And then we're headed over to our table where I'm going to start Lucy's one-on-one work. While I'm getting that set up, I'm also getting Isla set up with an independent activity that she can do. I set these activities up for her, and she's welcome to do them if she wants to, or if she wants to get down and play with her other toys or do something else, that's totally fine. Today, one of the activities from Playing Preschool was to watercolor a rainbow fish. So I just drew one on construction paper, and then I'm giving her some watercolors and a brush that she can just paint with. I found this hint from Mother Could on Instagram, where you just spray down your watercolor palette with like a spray mister bottle for little kids, and then you don't have to worry about having a cup. And if they mix the colors, it's not that big of a deal. Isla has her own like super cheap set of watercolors that I'm not concerned about her mixing the colors with. And so she really enjoyed that. Lucy wanted to start with her math today. So we use the Good and the Beautiful curriculum. If you want to see kind of what that looks like, you can look back at my curriculum walkthrough video. I'll make sure that I link that down below. So it always starts out with a couple of review activities. So today Lucy was reviewing time, and then she was reviewing a little video from the Good and the Beautiful, which is totally free. You can access those videos on their YouTube channel. But she was reviewing a video that teaches her how to spell the words 1, 2, and 3. It has a little song, and she practices how to do that. So after she did her review, then we're going to work on our actual lesson. Today we were focusing on patterns, and Lucy has done really well with patterns for a while, so this was a good review for her. And also it was giving some actual like naming to what patterns are. So we focused on AB patterns and ABB patterns, which she knows what those are, but she had never actually heard like the names AB patterns and ABB patterns. So it was going a little bit deeper into something that she knew and wanted to learn more about. So here we are working on Lucy's math review. At the end of each lesson, she goes through and the lesson gives topics, a few math problems basically that go over what she's learned in previous lessons. So today she was working on some addition problems, writing out the numbers 1, 2, and 3, like spelling them, and doing some other addition kind of problems. Isla was frustrated during this time. Went and got a snack. She often will get snacks kind of throughout the day, even though they have good and decent breakfasts in the morning. Isla is just a very snacky kid, and so she's always wanting snacks. So she went and got one and is in the pantry looking for some while I am helping Lucy with hers. And then something that I found that has been really helpful with Lucy and has really changed our homeschool is I go through and like preview with her the next day's lesson. And that really helps her to kind of know and anticipate what's going to be coming and gets her excited about things that are coming up. So right now she is working on her page of handwriting. I was just explaining kind of what that's going to look like. And then I went and got Isla a more filling snack, I guess. I cut up some peaches for her, and I also cut up one for Lucy while I was at it for her to have after she finishes her lesson. So she wrote her practiced writing a few letters and then colored her picture down at the bottom of the page. And then right here, she's checking off her little checklist I made. I just made this on printed this on cardstock and laminated it. And it just has a list of the things she's supposed to do each day. So handwriting, her language arts lesson, her math review, her booster cards that you will see her do in a second, piano, writing in her journal, studying her scriptures, her independent reading, and so there's also a couple of blank spaces. So that day I added her flamingo unit that we're working on, and we also were going to do a cooking thing together. So you saw we're working on her booster cards. This is like a fluency book basically, where each card kind of goes over a different phonics sound or sight words. So we're practicing the EA sound. So she went through and read the words, and then she's going to play a game on the Good and the Beautiful iPad app. Again, this is free that you can use even if you're not using the program. And today's game was just the iPad would say a word and she had to find it on the screen and tap it. And then we reviewed what her next cards were going to look like. And then for her language arts, it started off with practicing some spelling words. So she has 5 spelling words that she's working on. She mostly just spelled those orally. And then if she gets it wrong, I have her write it down 3 times on the whiteboard. So today she was working on the words love and of, just making sure that she could remember how to spell those correctly. While she's doing this, I'm helping Isla with some toys. She's now moved on to playing with magnet blocks and our marble run. And so I'm helping her kind of put those things together. And then again, just reviewing some of those spelling words with Lucy. And she's writing one of them while I go help Isla again. And she was spelling them incorrectly. So I had to come erase them, and then we tried again, and we're working on adding spacing so that doesn't just look like one big word, but 3 separate words. So then I am kind of going on to the little mini lesson that goes with this, where we've been talking about silent E, and this little mini lesson was talking about how if you have an S with a silent E, the S usually says the Z sound. So we went and reviewed that, and then there's this game for our lesson today where Lucy had to read the different squares in the boxes, the different words in the boxes, and then act out what those boxes were saying, and then I had to guess what they were. And once I guessed them correctly, we could cross it off. So we did that for all the words. While she's practicing reading the words and figuring out what she's going to do next, I am marking off in my planner what we've done that day, just to kind of help keep track. And if you're interested in that, I do have a homeschool planning video coming up in the next couple of weeks. So where I'll kind of show you more in depth what that looks like. Isla found her toy phone and was taking a picture of us. And now we're moving on to Lucy's independent practice. So today's independent practice was looking at a painting and then reading words underneath the painting. And if you could see that word that you read, if you could see that in the painting, then you would circle it. If you didn't, then you would cross it out. So I really like the Good and Beautiful. It involves a lot of really beautiful art, and the drawings and the colors and everything is just very beautiful. Like there's a reason that's why it's called the Good and the Beautiful, right? And so I really appreciate that. And helps make our learning definitely much more pleasurable. So here she is filling out her checklist again. And then here we are previewing what our next lesson is going to look like for the next day so that she can kind of be more prepared for that. And then that's kind of basically the end of our morning time. So we're just going to clean everything up. And that day we also were cooking muffins together, and she had a piano lesson and her science lesson that we were going to do in the afternoon after Isla goes down for her nap. And that was pretty quick and what our mornings look like. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.